Jesse Stoddard here, and this is 7 Secrets to Attract Your Perfect Customer, the little known target marketing techniques that the richest entrepreneurs hope their competitors never discover. The problem is you need more customers or clients so that you can generate more revenue, but the leads you do get seem to be the wrong people who cause problems and haggle over prices, leading to low sales, depressed revenue, and soul-sucking customer service headaches. Heck, you might just be happy with any leads at all during slower times of the year to avoid the constant feast and famine roller coaster. In fact, according to Bloomberg, 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs who start businesses fail within the first 18 months, a whopping 80% crash and burn. This is always due to lack of sales, which is usually due to lack of understanding of and communication with the right customers. And the most damaging factor that the majority of entrepreneurs are guilty of is no or very poor market identification. If you are like most entrepreneurs, you've noticed that every advertising media salesperson seems to be able to smell when things are slow for you. And that is exactly when they pounce on you with the latest and greatest advertising opportunity that will be a magic bullet for your lead generation. That's because most entrepreneurs do random acts of advertising, just trying to hit targets in the dark. But a recent Marketing Land survey showed marketers are clueless when it comes to ROI. But how are those marketers defining success, by the way? Return on investment, ROI. Arguably the single most important metric for gauging the profitability of a campaign remains elusive for many marketers to measure. For each core online marketing strategy, they asked marketers what type of ROI they were seeing, and the top answer for nearly every strategy was not sure. The only strong exception to this rule was social media marketing, which 44% of marketers saw a positive ROI for. Otherwise, either marketers aren't measuring their ROI rates consistently, or they don't know how to do it. This means that most advertising, online or offline, makes little or no contribution to overall profits. Those that are making headway are either having to rely heavily on only repeat business and referrals, or are simply overspending in advertising in order to compensate for poor results. So there is an opportunity. But despite these setbacks, some entrepreneurs are seeing record-setting top-line revenue and bottom-line profit growth year after year. In the fitness industry, I was working with a gym owner several years back who was struggling to make ends meet. He was trying to be everything to everybody and at the lowest price to try to keep up with the Globo gym in his area. That's what we call those. Little reference to dodgeball, if you will. He was failing miserably because he ended up in a price war he could never maintain, and nobody could see the difference between what he offered and what the competition had. He was on the verge of closing his doors. He was making probably around $15 per hour at best before expenses and taxes. After exploring his core competencies and what he was passionate about, what the market perceived as his strengths, and what his local market was demanding, we made some huge discoveries. It turns out he was very passionate about a particular line of work that was associated with one subculture of his market. He always did best and made the most money, which translates to ROI, when he trained groups of high school athletes with parents that had a history of supporting athletics financially. So we redefined his market and matched his offer to that market with speed and agility camps and group athlete training, much like an Olympic level athlete has a coach and multiple players. His market loved it. He got out of the nickel and dime laundromat gym system and got into a highly profitable business. He went from $15 per hour to $300 plus per hour. There are riches in niches. A retrofit construction business I was working with was suffering from terribly high Google pay-per-click costs for any of the keywords they were after. Although they had been the first to market in their industry, they had many competitors that had gradually moved into the market and copied everything they did. It was coming to the point of huge frustration and ended up putting them at danger of commoditization and price war with the copycat companies. It was costing them millions of dollars in lost sales per year. After doing a little research, we discovered that a huge part of their business was coming from a certain type of referral source: real estate brokers. They weren't paying attention to them or even trying to get them. They had never put thought into designing campaigns around them. We began actually marketing to them and creating a system of orchestrating referrals and fostering long-term relationships. The business had to think B2B, business to business, instead of just B2C, which they had always traditionally been in. Sometimes you have to look at the opportunities that are right under your nose, and the best way is to define or redefine your best target markets. What would your business look like if you actually found the perfect target market and could reach them with your well-crafted message in the right way at the right time? What would your business look like if you could find underserved subcultures, subsets, and micro niches or market segments that your competitors don't even know exist? How would it affect your price, your position, and your bottom line? Well, that's why I'm going to introduce to you the 7 secrets to attract your perfect customer. Secret number 1, study actual evidence and imagine your existing perfect client in your mind. Secret number 2, segment into sub-niche or subculture. Secret number 3 is study the demographics and geographics. Secret number 4 is the psychographics of that market. Secret number 5 is to test your assumptions with surveys, quizzes, focus groups, or just ask. Secret number 6 is to build the profile of the perfect customer avatar. And secret number 7 is to schedule periodic assessments. So we're going to go over each one in turn. Secret number 1, study actual evidence and imagine your existing perfect client. First of all, you must learn about your customer and build it, and they might not come, by the way. Most business owners have a hard time with this. They want to create the widget or the service, and then they go around trying to find someone who's going to buy it. That is the exact opposite of what you should do. It's the hardest way to do it. Now, if you're already in business, you can find out a lot. Just look at your existing customer list. Study, interview, hang out with them, or as we say, walk the halls of the business. If you've got retail, if you've got a place where you can be in the business and be with the customer. A lot of times owners, they get so, not to no fault of their own, they might like people, but they get so overwhelmed with all of the minutia of the work, and they end up in their ivory tower stuck behind a computer at a desk, and they stop interacting with people. Get out from the computer and hang out with people, or use the computer to find out more about them, of course. Who are your favorite customers and why? That is one of the most powerful questions you can ask. If you already have business, if you've got any customers at all, if you're happy with even one of them and you like them, think about them and start studying everything about them, because they can attract more customers like them. And if you identify what their traits are, you can go and advertise and market toward that customer and get more of them. But it all starts with who are they and why do you like them. You can use the almighty Google. Google's incredible what you can find, all sorts of websites that will help you study the actual evidence about your type of customer that you think you're after. IBIS World market research reports are fantastic for general business planning or marketing planning and gathering some market research. You can use the Ask method, which is a great book to read, by the way, or do quizzes. People don't always like big complicated surveys, but they don't mind taking quizzes. It's like a game. If you can gamify it, that's a great way to use online to get a little bit more research on your customers. And there are ways to automate all of that so that as you get those answers, you can segment them in your email lists and in your mailing lists. You can use surveys, of course, and you can do focus groups. Now, focus groups sometimes get a hard time, mostly because they tend to be expensive, but there are ways to do it that are a little bit more affordable. And it often, even if it is expensive, it's worth it. If you have someone who runs a really good focus group for you, you can get incredible data, incredible feedback that will help you determine how your customer thinks and how they act and what they want and what they don't want. Secret number 2, segment your market into sub-niche or subcultures. Now, first of all, segmentation, leads to clarity and profitability. You may think that your customer target market is moms, for example. Let's say we sell, making this up off the top of my head, pulling it out of the ether, we sell baby clothes. And we may think that we're trying to sell to moms, and we have it defined as new moms. But within that, there's probably moms that are single and moms that are married. And they may have different interests. Or there may be moms that are under 25 and moms that are over 25. And they may have very different communication methods, very different ways of thinking, very different needs. They may have different medical concerns. There's so many ways we could segment that. And the more you do, the more clarity you get about who your customer, your most profitable customer is, and therefore getting you the best ROI in the long term. Niches, or niches, as I like to say, are like business categories, like dentists and doctors. And if you're in B2B especially, this is important. You may be after dentists, but you only want dentists who make a certain revenue or more, who have a certain practice size. Maybe you only want the smaller ones because you have entry-level services to provide them, or there's more of them, and therefore more opportunity in your mind. So the niches are another way to segment. Cultures, okay, and subcultures are like affinities and interests that people have. People that all like to play chess, people that like to fly kites, people that like to play guitar, people that like baseball. Okay, things that they like, they have affinities towards, things that they are involved in. They play role-playing games, or they all happen to like sports cars of a certain model and type and make and year. And those are all cultures and subcultures that you can find. Identify key differences and similarities among your target market or markets. Okay, and you want to be looking for these all the time. See if there's anything that they all have in common. Okay. It also allows you to further define different targets. You can have multiple targets for your business, but I recommend that you focus on one single target market at a time and prove that you can master that one, and then move on to another one and master that one in turn. Secret number 3, demographics and geographics, starts with things like age and gender, marital status, occupation, income, net worth, assets, revenue, location, and even I would include in this spending habits. These are all things that are the easiest to find. And by the way, nowadays we've never unprecedented ability to market to these people. The data is available everywhere, even places like Facebook. You can select all of these and run ads to only specific segments. Secret number 4 is to study the psychographics of your target market. This is what they like, don't like, how they think and feel, their affinity towards different things. People, causes, companies, movements they follow in social media, subscriptions, things that they subscribe to online and off, the email lists, the magazines they read, the different things that they are subscribed to tend to point out the way they think in psychographics. Their pain points, their goals, their dreams, their fears. These are all things that you can find out, or you can at least take a good educated guess and take a stab at it to do your best with. And you must think about this in order to have a really clear marketing message that resonates with that target market. Secret number 5 is to test all your assumptions with surveys, quizzes, focus groups, or just ask. Now, I brought this up earlier in the research phase, but now after you think you've got it, you've got to test your assumption. If you're bringing a product or service to market to the customer, you have to know, is that customer actually going to buy it? Now, and before you spend millions of dollars, why not spend a very small amount of money and test it with a sample? And so test what you think you know, because you never know what you don't know. Split test offers. If you're going to send out an email with an offer, it's never been easier to split test 2 different headlines or 2 different offers or 2 different price points or anything. You could have everything the same except for one variable, and you're going to know which one is different. It's so easy to do nowadays, and there's so much great technology out there to help you. Or even no technology. Get on the phone with a certain number of people, make one offer, and make the offer another set of people, slightly different offer, just just one variable change, and you can just figure out which one is going to do better. It amazes me how few people ever do this, how few entrepreneurs ever bother doing this. Do not just rely on the online survey options, by the way. I'm not SurveyMonkey, as great as it is, or the Google Sheet surveys, wonderful. However, you can't just rely on it. Not all people will take them. If you really want a lot of data, sometimes you have to make them long, and that's also suppresses your conversion, the number of people that are actually going to take the survey. Also, you've got so many other options. So yes, use online surveys, but use offline surveys. Have a paper version. Have a different some other option, like we mentioned. You can do quizzes. You can just ask people. All right. Get on the phone. By the way, if you really want to know this, you can narrow it down to a few people that you think are the target customer, and craft your offer and get on the phone and ask them what they think. And if they're excited about it, and if they tell you, oh, you're a great salesperson, well, I guess that's a compliment. That's okay. But what you're really looking for is them to pull out their wallet and start giving you credit card numbers over the phone, because then you know that you were right. Okay, that's the true test. The true test of all is if they buy. What is the bottom line of your assumption is the question you should be asking yourself. Secret number 6 is to build the profile of the perfect customer avatar. Gather enough research to picture them clearly as if you were trying to write their biography. Create a composite of all of their traits, and then pick the best of all options to create this profile. Put yourself in their shoes. I had a mentor in writing that always said, think reader first. Jerry Jenkins, I think, was the one that told me that. Think reader first when you're about to write something. And when I say write, I do mean the written word, but I also mean verbally, your message, your sales presentation, however you're going to deliver and communicate what it is that you offer, what it is that you do. Think reader first. Would you buy from you? Would you buy from you? Now, you may not be your target market, so there may be a circumstance when that doesn't apply, but if you can picture yourself as them, and then hearing your offer, is it your pitch? Does it compel you to want to buy? And you want to at least make the effort of trying to put yourself in their shoes. And then name them. When you create this avatar, give them a name. Don't be afraid. It feels weird for some people, but if it's Sally Jones, and because Sally Jones happens to be your very best customer, now you want to look for more Sally Jones, it just helps everybody involved in your team if they know who it is they're looking for. If Sally Jones was like best customer you've ever had, best ROI, friendliest, easiest to work with, and an ongoing referring machine who has been with you for years, and you just wish all of your customers were just like her, well, then make them all her by identifying it, and it starts with actually naming this avatar. And then write their story. It doesn't have to be a book, although might not hurt, but write a one-page story about them. Tell yourself and all of your employees, your sales force, your marketing team, who is this person we're after, and what journey did they go about to get to where they are today? It's like writing a biography. Secret number 7 is schedule periodic assessments. Okay, this will inevitably change. You must reassess from time to time. People change, situations change, markets change. So you want to do this once per year at a minimum. You want to review this entire process from step 1 through 6, okay? It's better if you do this quarterly, however. You'll find that if you at least take a look at it, make sure it's still accurate. Select one target market at a time to go after and one to assess, okay? And look for one new one or submarket to target for the next quarter. So every quarter you're looking at one and honing it in, assessing one, creating a new one, working on one, and looking for a new one that you could add. And that's basically our process. So what's next? Well, what do you think your business would look like if you actually did all this stuff? Would you like to find out? Well, stay tuned and we'll have more for you.